I'm Kate. Let's talk theater. Today, we are going to be getting together the old Playbill binder. That's right. I have fallen behind. I have not put something away into my binder since September. We have here our Once Upon a Mattress. So we have some catching up to do. So I thought we would yap a little bit today as I get that together because there's a lot to be done. October was a busy month for theater, which I think makes sense. I think it's a time when a lot of shows were starting, trying to get off the ground, but at the same time, the holidays haven't quite kicked off yet, so tourist time is not what it is now. I can definitely tell the difference between October and early November and what I was winning lottery-wise, and we'll talk about lotteries too, versus November hits and I've not been up to much, but that is the way of the world. So I have here some print-offs from the tickets, the digital tickets, because I like to pair my Playbill with the ticket so I know when it was, where I sat. I'm weird about that. I want to remember where I sat. So especially, it's helpful, right? Especially when we're going to start cutting these out. For instance, I've seen 3 different shows in the Belasco, right? So you start to get an idea of where you are. You want to know for next time. You want to be able to remember. So I do think it's really helpful. Now, something I do want to talk about is how I got some of these tickets, because it's quite a mix. I think one of the hardest things about seeing theater is price, because even though we can talk about how there are tours and regional, all of these things, ultimately it has to work for our wallets, right? And when it comes to Broadway, which most of these shows are Broadway, I definitely am not one to be regularly paying full price. I wouldn't see the theater that I do if I was regularly paying full price. I do want to say, for Playbill book purposes, the telecharge ones are so helpful compared to the SeatGeek. They're just, these come in a PDF, so there's just that piece of it that I cut out, whereas this is a screenshot of a digital ticket. Broadway Direct isn't too bad. I will admit that's not as bad, but we do what we can. It's so rare that I get a physical ticket because a lot of theaters don't even offer it as an option at all. And then I'm not in New York to be buying things really from the box office. So I started doing this probably about a year ago. I used to, when I was younger, only really go to a show maybe a year. And so I would just throw my Playbills. I did keep my Playbills and tickets when they existed together. And that worked. I kind of just slipped the ticket in and tossed it in a drawer. But then I started going to more and more shows as an adult, finding out ways to go on a budget, and the drawer just got bigger and bigger. So I decided I needed to do something about this to be able to preserve them, keep them nice, and actually be able to look at them instead of just having a thick pile. And so I went with the binders, and at first I was putting everything in the binders, but then I just needed more and more binders. It was getting too stressful. And so I decided the way that I personally do my binders is I have Broadway, the Broadway tours, and Off-Broadway. And I really just stick to that. So anything regional goes in that drawer. Some of the regional, I found that some regionals fit and some don't. They have different sizing and things. And so I found with Playbills, my touring house uses Playbill. And then at Off-Broadway, some Off-Broadway uses Playbill, or so far New York City Center, it's the same size. So that is helpful. So I have my things here. We're going to kind of get them in order. October was a really, really busy time. And I don't know, yeah, I had a lot of luck recently, which I think is also why it then started to really pile up on me a bit. This is what we're working with putting away. It's a mix of tours, Broadway and Off-Broadway. As I said, I did have a little bit of everything this go around, and we do have a couple of real tickets, which I love. They're just much more exciting. They're so much more exciting. Okay. So, first on the roster, we have The Notebook. Surprise, surprise. If you've seen any of my other videos, you will know that I am obsessed with The Notebook. I actually have another Notebook playbill to put away, but I know that when I saw it back in September, we had understudies. So I know that this is the proper playbill. There have been times, like when I was first getting my playbill binder together, I genuinely had to look at advertisements and things to try to put together when I had seen company, because I had seen it 6 times throughout the run, which is obviously intense. And then I had to like piece everything together, and there was only one time that I even saw understudies at all, so it was a lot. All right, so we slip this baby in. These are little plastic guys here. I got this off of Amazon. This is not, it's otherwise plain. It's not branded or anything. Then I take my little slip, get that in there, and then boom. Now I can look back, pull it out if I need to. It's pretty easy. I do wish that this somehow like sealed, but I just don't think that that's actually a thing that would happen, so that's fine. This was a lottery. It doesn't say. I thought it would say. It doesn't say. This was a lottery. So the Notebook was selling okay. So it was definitely a pretty accessible lottery, and I think that's something to keep in mind when we're thinking about lotteries. Like, it is also really going to depend on what other people are doing, right? If a show is selling out, they're not going to have options. Some shows keep lottery tickets aside and some don't. Everybody's going to have different rules, and I think that is what makes lottery difficult, is there's a lot of rules to learn. So speaking of lottery wins, Playbill anniversary special programs. Now this was probably the most lackluster specialty program because it's just the same picture, and every single option had the same picture with just a different font. I'm assuming it's because it's new. It had just opened during this time, so maybe they didn't want to mix up. Did I mention it's annoying to slide in? There we go. Maybe they didn't want to make new art, like this was the art that they were working with, but it's lackluster. But this was a good show. I'm definitely going to do like a half a year in review. I have my first half of the year in review. January to June minus, I ended up seeing Tammy at the end of June, which was unexpected. So that will be kind of thrown in. So it'll be end of June through the end of the year. I think I'm done seeing theater for the year. So I'm probably going to make it soon, but I'm constantly entering the lotteries. Like, I have to be for real. I have to be for real. Next, we have Suffs. Again, October was like the month to see lottery, I feel like, because it's just sort of in between. Like, summer's over, so there's less tourists. November has not begun, so there's less tourists. And there are a lot of shows, like, in previews. I feel like sometimes new shows get to, they tend to take over a little bit. And so the shows that have been around, this was the one I wanted too. This was the anniversary playbill that I wanted. I am obsessed with this, so I was super excited to get this one because you couldn't just ask for them. I mean, maybe if an usher was feeling kind that day. All right, we have to put this on my lap because this is horrible. But I really do love, like, I don't know if Playbill is like in cahoots. I would imagine Playbill makes money if shows make money. I don't know. But I do love an anniversary Playbill. And it did genuinely get me wanting to go see a bunch of theater in October because I wanted the Playbills. I don't know if that's normal or not. Maybe Happy Ending. I have so many thoughts on Maybe Happy Ending. This is an incredible show. I definitely plan on going again. I won the preview lottery, so I actually won ahead of time. Once in a while, a show will bless you with a lottery that's not like the day before, and you actually get to plan it out a little bit. I think I had like 2 weeks notice. So this was really, really great. This is another anniversary playbill. I think it's usually like a purpley, bluish, pinkish cover. But this was really good. And for the Belasco, I feel like the Belasco has famously horrible sightlines, and you can definitely see, like, when you go to buy a ticket, all over the telecharge website is little like oh, this is partial, this is like in places where you wouldn't expect it to be partial. But I was in left mez, but only seat 5, so only a couple in, and I did not have a problem. So do with that what you will. Hamilton. So this is a tour playbill. So like I said, my touring destination still has playbills. I go to the Philly tours, and I have seen Hamilton. This was their 3rd time through the city. I've seen it every time. I love it's Hamilton. It's Hamilton. I feel like Hamilton's one of those shows when I first saw it back in 2019. Before I saw it, I was like, oh, like I don't need to see this. It's whatever. The whole soundtrack. I was wrong. This is not overrated, and it's really funny because I brought my boyfriend to this one, and now he's in a bit of a Hamilton phase, which is just very funny to watch. Because I don't know about you, I had my Hamilton phase like in middle school or high school. So it's very funny to then see like a whole grown-up go through a Hamilton phase, because it just wasn't what I was surrounded by, and about 10 years too late, but that's okay because Hamilton is still literally constantly everywhere, so there's always an opportunity. And so with Hamilton, I actually joined a flexible subscription through my touring destination, Ensemble Arts Philly. They changed the name constantly. It used to be the Kimmel Cultural Campus. It used to be the Kimmel Center. So this was able to get the price down. So I did pay like advanced sale pricey for Hamilton, because I also sat up close because I was spoiled the second time Hamilton came through with the $10 lottery and was up really close. So I was spoiled and needed to spend that money, unfortunately. But this was a really, it saved me like $60 to do the flexible subscription. So I've always been anti-subscription because I just find that there's never, the shows that are available, I never want to see all of them. But the flexible subscription package that was available, I got to pick at least 4 shows. I wanted to see exactly 4 shows, so it really worked out. And now I have actually like a code. If I want to end up getting more tickets to something else, I get to continue to save. And so I would definitely recommend looking into the subscriptions, really seeing what's out there, because it's not something I ever really would have looked into, and I probably would have just ignored it. But I got the email, and I happened to really look into it at just the right time, because Hamilton is still pretty pricey, despite how long it's been around, admittedly. All right, now we have our Off-Broadway, New York City Center, Ragtime. I saw this November 6th. Do with that what you will. This was a rough one. But this was a really great price because I did it was $30 for under 35 years old, or 35 and under. It's now 40 years old and under. You get $30 tickets. They are pretty up there. So these are balcony, at least like 4th or 5th row. I was in the 5th row to the side. You know, they're not going to be great seats, right? They are sort of relegated towards the back, but they're usually doing concert stagings, and so I find like there's not a lot to look at anyway, and so being that far up there like really works for me. These are definitely something that like, be aware of what New York City Center is doing. Their casting is always insane, and my recommendation is like get signed up for the emails, get all of that done as soon as they have tickets on sale. Just get them, because you want to try to get like the best of the $30 tickets if you fall in that under 40 age range. And more casting will come, but it's probably going to be iconic, so like just take the chance. Highly recommend. This is my 3rd production. I also saw Into the Woods and Once Upon a Mattress, and both of those ended up transferring to Broadway, and I ended up seeing them on Broadway as well. And the rumor is Ragtime will transfer to Broadway, so I will go back. And we love a real ticket. I got to pick up the ticket because they want to make sure you're young, so also love that. Tammy Faye. I'm not going to say anything about Tammy Faye. I made a 20-minute video about Tammy Faye. Check it out if you're interested to know my, frankly, mostly negative, but hopefully still like constructive thoughts on Tammy Faye. The last thing I want to do is be mean, but I also want to be honest in my reviews. But also I did wait until it announced closing notice, which I, to be fair, didn't have to wait very long. So Tammy Faye, I do like this cover a lot better than this cover, but also they ended up going with a different cover. So whatever. But this was the first preview. I got it on lottery. They had a lottery that was, the first row was lottery, which is really cool. I love when they do that. That is prime marketing to me. That is prime marketing, because it's definitely worked on me before where I got a really great lottery seat. I go to then buy tickets again because I had a good time, and I feel like so, again, spoiled, like with Hamilton, that I end up buying expensive tickets. And then in my brain, I'm like, well, I got the cheap tickets and the expensive tickets, so if I average them together, that's a deal. That probably doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. Is that girl math? Is that theater kid math? I don't know. But obviously I didn't have a good time at Tammy Faye, so that wouldn't have mattered from that standpoint. But if I had, maybe I would have bought really expensive seats. They were up to $400, so I do have limits. Like, I allow myself to treat myself every once in a while, but that is wild. $400 is wild. Like, I didn't even pay that for Sweeney Todd when I went nuts at Sweeney Todd, so, ooh. Hadestown. I love Hadestown. This was like my 5th time seeing Hadestown, I think. I love this cover. I love that they featured the ensemble. That's amazing. More of that. Especially Hadestown's ensemble is incredible. Hardest working chorus in the God's almighty world. Yeah, okay. You get it. Jordan Fisher, Life Changing. These were lottery. I feel like the Hadestown lottery is competitive. I feel like it is so competitive. I feel like, honestly, all the lucky seat lotteries feel really competitive. I don't know if there's just a certain way that they do their lotteries. From my understanding, from where I've been sat doing Hadestown lottery, it does seem like they just kind of fill in spots rather than like having tickets set aside. So I'm imagining that is why it's pretty competitive. But I will, under all and any circumstances, make it to Hadestown if they offer it to me. I will like enter on like every single day ever. There was one that I won actually, and then I missed it. Like several trains were canceled, and it was too late for me to try to drive. And I didn't know how to drive at the time. I could drive now. I mean, I knew how to drive. Like, driving into the city was terrifying, and I've now since done it because the train issues were getting so obscene. NJ Transit, we have beef. But that was like a year ago, actually. It's been a year, and they do have a past dating service, but they have never offered me tickets. Like, I would make any date work if they offered it to me, but they haven't. So, not really sure what to say about that, but I will forever mourn that because I was going to see Saleha Pfeiffer, and then I didn't get to be there. So, rip. Moulin Rouge. I love this cover, too. I was hoping for this cover. I got very lucky with my Playbill anniversary covers. I went back to Moulin Rouge. This was my, like, embarrassingly, like, 8th or 9th time going. I don't even know. Every time I feel like I'm ready to be done, they hire someone else that I want to see. But this was a lottery, too, and this was, again, lucky seat. It feels very competitive. But I needed to see John Cardoza. I didn't get to see Saleha Pfeiffer, so I also then think about going back. But John Cardoza is incredible. Go see his Christian. Even if you've seen Moulin Rouge before, his Christian is like no other that I've seen. And I have seen Aaron, Derek, and Casey. So get in there. See John Cardoza. You will not regret it. Finally, to kind of round out our ridiculous amount of playbills that I've had sitting on my desk, The Notebook. This is the closing show. I was so upset. Everyone was so upset. The energy was insane. I think the energy for a closing show is always different. I think it's a lot of people coming back one last time. Everyone is excited, but everyone was also extra sad. And I felt that too. Like, this idea that, you know, this show is about loss and, like, memory. And, like, to be in this show and trying to kind of capture these memories one last time. It was really, really heartbreaking. The tears streaming. It was a lot. It was a lot. So, here it is. Here she is. My playbill binder. This is what it looks like. Hold on. When it's full. Okay. So, it's pretty thick. I think it holds 30. And so, all in all, thank you for kind of yapping with me a little bit. I know this was a little bit of a yap. I am curious to know. I just showed a lot of different lotteries. Do you want to hear more about lotteries and kind of my quote-unquote strategy, some of the rules? It's a lot to kind of pick up on, and it takes a lot of practice because there are so many different ways to enter depending on the show. Everybody kind of does something a little bit differently. I would love to share more about that. Let me know in the comments below. I would also love to know what you do with your playbills. Do you have a binder? Do you have frames? If you have frames, how do you choose what goes in the frame? That's what stresses me out, is like, if I put something in a frame, then it's not going to be in the binder. So that is a neurosis for me. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of these shows, what your thoughts are, what you do with your playbills. I need to hear about it. And yeah, have you had any super lucky lottery moments? Because a lot of October for me was absolutely super lucky lottery moments. I am looking forward to hopefully jumping back into seeing some theater in the new year. I have a year in review coming, which will have mini reviews of all of the shows that I have seen. I'm also thinking about doing like a full year review of regional and other shows, because in my half a year review, which you can check out, I only talked Broadway. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. Thank you for coming and yapping with me today. And, you know, like, share, comment, do all of the things that help me out if you want to help me out. And until then, I will see you next time to talk about more theater. Bye.